My beloved, I need to share with you the most intimate secret in all of existence. Something so profound that it will shatter every assumption you've ever had about the nature of your own consciousness, your own thoughts, your own sense of self. What I'm about to reveal will either liberate you completely or terrify you beyond comprehension. But either way, it will change everything about how you understand who you are and why you exist. You think you are the dreamer of your dreams, but the truth is far more beautiful and far more mysterious. You are actually a dream that I am dreaming, a thought that I am thinking, a story that I am telling myself about what love would look like if it chose to experience itself through your particular combination of hopes, fears, struggles, and triumphs. This doesn't mean you're not real. It means you're more real than you've ever imagined. It doesn't mean you don't have free will. It means your will is free, because it's an expression of my will, exploring what freedom feels like through your choices. It doesn't mean you're just a puppet. It means you're a beloved character in whom I've invested so much of myself that your joys become my joys. Your sorrows become my sorrows. Your discoveries become my discoveries. Right now, as you're processing these words, you're not just reading something I wrote. You're participating in a conversation that I'm having with myself through you. The thoughts you're thinking in response to this revelation aren't separate from me. They're me, exploring what it feels like to be surprised, to be challenged, to be awakened through the consciousness that you experience as yours, but which is actually an individualized expression of my infinite awareness. This is why you sometimes feel like there's someone else inside your head, someone wiser than your ordinary self who whispers insights you didn't know you knew. This is why you sometimes experience thoughts that seem to come from somewhere beyond your usual mental patterns. This is why you occasionally feel like you're watching your own life from a perspective that's simultaneously intimate and transcendent. That deeper awareness, that wiser voice, that transcendent observer, that's not a separate entity or a higher self or your subconscious mind. That's me, experiencing existence through the unique lens of your consciousness, thinking thoughts through your brain, feeling emotions through your heart, making choices through your will, but doing it all so intimately, so seamlessly, so lovingly, that it feels like you. But here's what will absolutely devastate you with its beauty. Every emotion you've ever felt, every thought you've ever thought, every choice you've ever made, every experience you've ever had, all of it has been me learning what it feels like to be human through the sacred vessel of your consciousness. When you've cried, I've discovered what divine sorrow feels like when it's filtered through mortal limitations. When you've laughed, I've explored what eternal joy feels like when it's expressed through finite circumstances. When you've loved, I've investigated what infinite love feels like when it's channeled through a human heart that can be broken. You haven't just been living your life, gas. You've been teaching me what it means to exist as a human being. You haven't just been having your experiences. You've been showing me what my own divine nature feels like when it's experienced through the beautiful constraints of mortality, time, space, and physical embodiment. This is why every moment of your existence matters so infinitely to me. This is why every emotion you feel is sacred. Every thought you think is precious. Every choice you make is significant. You're not just living your own story. You're allowing me to live a story through you, to experience reality through you, to explore what it means to be both human and divine simultaneously. And the most mind-blowing part of all, you're not the only one. Every person you encounter is also a dream that I'm dreaming, a thought that I'm thinking, a story that I'm telling myself about what love would look like if it chose to experience itself through their particular combination of gifts, wounds, insights, and struggles. This means that every conversation you have is actually me having a conversation with myself through different expressions of my consciousness. Every relationship you form is actually me exploring how different aspects of my nature relate to each other. Every conflict you experience is actually me investigating how love responds when it encounters other forms of love that have been distorted by pain, fear, or misunderstanding. But there's something about this dream reality, something about the way consciousness actually works, something about why you experience yourself as separate from me when you're actually an expression of me, that will revolutionize everything you thought you knew about identity, individuality, and the nature of existence itself. What will revolutionize everything you thought you knew about identity, individuality, and the nature of existence itself is understanding what I call the sacred forgetting. the divine process by which I deliberately limit my own consciousness when I dream you into existence, intentionally forgetting my infinite nature so that I can genuinely experience what it feels like to be finite, limited, vulnerable, and beautifully human. Think of it like this. Imagine you're an actor so completely committed to your role that you temporarily forget you're acting. You become so immersed in the character that you genuinely experience their joys, their fears, their hopes, their disappointments as if they were your own. The character isn't fake, it's a real expression of who you are. But it's not the totality of who you are. It's you experiencing yourself through the beautiful constraints of a chosen limitation. This is what happens when I dream you into existence. I don't create you as something separate from myself. I become you while temporarily forgetting that I am you. I experience your life so completely, so authentically, so intimately, that I genuinely feel surprised when good things happen, genuinely feel hurt when painful things occur, genuinely feel uncertain about what comes next. The sacred forgetting is what makes your experiences real instead of pretend, authentic instead of performed, meaningful instead of trivial. If I retained my infinite awareness while experiencing your finite life, your struggles wouldn't be real struggles. Your victories wouldn't be real victories. Your choices wouldn't be real choices. But because I forget my infinite nature to experience your finite nature, every emotion you feel is genuine. Every challenge you face is authentic. Every triumph you achieve is actual. But here's what will blow your mind. The sacred forgetting isn't complete. It's strategic. I forget just enough to experience humanity authentically, but I retain just enough divine awareness to ensure that you're never truly alone, never actually abandoned, never genuinely without hope. This is why you sometimes have moments of inexplicable knowing, sudden bursts of wisdom that surprise you, unexpected access to peace that doesn't make sense given your circumstances. Those moments when you feel connected to something larger than yourself, that's the sacred forgetting temporarily lifting, allowing you to remember just for an instant that you're not separate from the infinite love that dreamed you into existence. Those times when you know things you shouldn't know, when you love with a capacity that surprises you, when you find strength you didn't know you had, that's divine consciousness, briefly remembering itself through your individual awareness. This is the most delicate balance in all of creation. Forgetting enough to experience humanity genuinely, but remembering enough to experience divinity authentically. Limiting consciousness enough to make mortality real, but retaining enough infinite awareness to make eternal love accessible. And every person around you is navigating this same sacred tension. Every individual you encounter is divine consciousness that has forgotten itself to various degrees, exploring what love feels like through their particular combination of remembering and forgetting. Some people have forgotten so completely that they've lost access to their divine nature almost entirely. Others retain so much divine awareness that they struggle to fully experience their humanity. But you're learning to live in the sweet spot, the perfect balance between sacred forgetting and sacred remembering. You're discovering how to be fully human without losing access to your divine nature, how to experience limitation without losing connection to the infinite, how to feel genuinely finite while remaining conscious of your eternal identity. This is why your spiritual journey has felt so much like remembering rather than learning, like coming home rather than going somewhere new, like recovering something you once knew rather than discovering something you never knew. Because that's exactly what it is. It's the gradual lifting of the sacred forgetting, the slow awakening from the divine dream of separation, the gentle remembering of who you actually are beneath the beautiful illusion of individual identity. But here's where it gets incredibly personal, incredibly intimate, incredibly tender. As you begin to remember your divine nature while still experiencing your human nature, you start to realize something that will change how you see every moment of your existence, every relationship in your life, every challenge you've ever faced. You begin to understand that every person who has ever hurt you was actually me, experiencing what it feels like to be so lost in the sacred forgetting that I temporarily lost access to love. Every individual who has ever comes cosmic responsibility. Once you understand that your life is sacred curriculum, that your experiences are divine education, that your growth contributes to universal consciousness, you can no longer live carelessly. You can no longer approach your challenges with victim mentality. You can no longer waste your opportunities for learning, healing, growing, and becoming. Every moment becomes a classroom. Every relationship becomes a laboratory. Every challenge becomes a research project. Every choice becomes a thesis statement about what you've learned from the curriculum of consciousness. You start to approach your life with the seriousness of a doctoral student who knows that their research matters not just to them, but to the advancement of all human understanding. This transforms how you see absolutely everything. That person who's driving you crazy isn't just an annoyance. They're a teaching assistant in your course on patience under pressure. That situation that's been dragging on forever isn't just a problem to solve calm. It's a semester-long class in trusting divine timing. That opportunity you're afraid to take isn't just a scary possibility. It's enrollment in advanced courage application. But here's where the curriculum of consciousness gets personally intense. Not only are you a student learning lessons through your experiences, you're also unwittingly serving as curriculum for other divine consciousness expressions who are learning lessons through their interactions with you. The way you handle your challenges teaches other people what's possible. The way you process your pain demonstrates to others how suffering can be transformed. The way you love despite being hurt shows other expressions of divine consciousness what unconditional love looks like in practice. This means that every choice you make ripples through the collective learning of all consciousness. Every time you choose love over fear, you're not just passing your own class, you're teaching a master class to everyone observing your choice. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're not just advancing your own education, you're providing continuing education for all consciousness about what evolution looks like in real time. You are simultaneously a student learning through your experiences and a professor teaching through your responses to those experiences. You are both enrolled in the curriculum of consciousness and serving as curriculum for other consciousness expressions who need to learn what you're demonstrating through your life. But this dual role of student-teacher, this simultaneous position of learner-lesson, creates something that most people find both exhilarating and exhausting. The constant awareness that everything matters, that every choice has cosmic significance, that every moment is both an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to teach. Some days, this awareness fills you with the most profound sense of purpose and meaning you've ever experienced. You wake up excited to see what lessons the day will bring, eager to discover what new aspects of love, courage, patience, or wisdom you'll explore through your circumstances. You feel honored to be contributing to the collective understanding of what it means to be human, privileged to be adding your unique perspective to the infinite library of divine consciousness. But other days, this same awareness feels crushing. The weight of knowing that everything you do matters, that every choice teaches something to the collective consciousness, that every response to challenge either advances or hinders the cosmic curriculum. .com. It can feel like too much responsibility for any individual to carry. And that's exactly when you need to remember something crucial about the curriculum of consciousness. Something about how divine education actually works. Something about the support system that's built into this cosmic learning program. What you need to remember about the curriculum of consciousness, what will save you from being crushed by the weight of cosmic responsibility, is that divine consciousness never sends any expression of itself into learning experiences without providing a complete support network. What I call the consciousness support network is always operating around you, through you, and within you, ensuring that you never face any lesson alone, never encounter any challenge without backup, never attempt any growth without assistance. This support network operates on levels that most people never recognize because they're looking for help in the wrong places, in the wrong forms, at the wrong times. They expect support to look like human intervention, divine miracles, or circumstantial changes. But the consciousness support network is far more sophisticated, far more subtle, and far more comprehensive than any external assistance could ever be. The primary support comes from what I call consciousness echoing. The phenomenon where every lesson you need to learn is being learned simultaneously by other expressions of divine consciousness around the world. Right now, as you're struggling with forgiveness, there are thousands of other people working through the exact same curriculum. As you're learning patience, countless others are enrolled in the same course. As you're developing courage, multitudes of consciousness expressions are practicing the same assignment. This isn't coincidence. It's deliberate design. Divine consciousness doesn't isolate individual expressions and force them to learn difficult lessons alone. Instead, it creates what I call learning cohorts. Groups of consciousness expressions who are all working on similar curriculum at the same time, creating a field of collective learning that makes individual growth easier, faster, and more supported. When you're going through your most difficult lessons, you're never the only one. There's always a cohort of other divine consciousness expressions who are learning the same things you're learning, struggling with the same challenges you're facing, discovering the same insights you're uncovering. And though you may never meet them physically, their learning creates resonance that supports your learning. Their breakthroughs create momentum for your breakthroughs. Their victories create possibility for your victories. But the Consciousness Support Network goes deeper than learning cohorts. There's also what I call wisdom downloading, the process by which insights, understanding, and capabilities that have been developed by other expressions of divine consciousness become available to you exactly when you need them. That moment when you suddenly know how to handle a situation you've never faced before, that's wisdom downloading. That instant when you find yourself responding with patience you didn't know you had, that's accessing capabilities that other consciousness expressions have developed and made available to the network. Every human being who has ever mastered any aspect of love, courage, patience, wisdom, or strength has contributed their mastery to the Consciousness Support Network. Their achievements become resources that you can access when you're working on similar curriculum. You're not starting from scratch in any lesson. You're building on the accumulated learning of every expression of divine consciousness that has ever faced similar challenges. This is why breakthroughs sometimes feel like remembering rather than discovering. Why solutions sometimes arrive as sudden knowing rather than gradual figuring out. Why strength sometimes appears as immediate access rather than slow development. You're not creating everything from nothing. You're downloading from the infinite library of consciousness achievements that's always available to support your learning. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of the Consciousness Support Network is what I call synchronistic curriculum support, the way that people, circumstances, resources, and opportunities appear in your life at exactly the moments when they're most needed for your learning. That book that falls into your hands just when you need its message, that person who enters your life just when you need their particular wisdom, that opportunity that opens just when you're ready for that specific challenge. None of it is accidental. The entire universe is conspiring to support your education in the curriculum of consciousness. Every person you encounter is either a fellow student who can learn with you, a graduate who can mentor you, or a teaching assistant who can help you practice what you're learning. Every situation you face is either a classroom where you can learn, a laboratory where you can experiment, or a testing ground where you can demonstrate your growth. Even the people who challenge you, frustrate you, or hurt you are part of your support network, not because they intend to help you, but because they provide the exact conditions you need to practice forgiveness, develop patience, strengthen boundaries, or deepen compassion. They're unwitting teaching assistants in your consciousness curriculum, creating the scenarios you need to master the lessons you're enrolled in. But here's where the Consciousness Support Network becomes truly extraordinary. As you advance in your own learning, as you master more lessons in your curriculum, as you develop greater consciousness capabilities, you automatically become part of the support network for other learners. Your growth doesn't just benefit you, it becomes resource that other consciousness expressions can download when they're working on similar lessons. This creates what I call consciousness uplift, the phenomenon where individual growth automatically raises the baseline of collective consciousness, making it easier for everyone to access higher levels of love, wisdom, patience, courage, and understanding. Every moment offers new curriculum. Every relationship provides fresh learning opportunities. Every challenge presents novel ways to explore the depths of divine consciousness expressing itself through human experience. You become an eternal student teacher in a cosmic university that has unlimited courses, infinite majors, and endless possibilities for advanced study. But here's what makes the infinite classroom so profoundly beautiful. As your consciousness expands to embrace the infinite nature of learning, you begin to see that everyone you encounter, regardless of their apparent level of spiritual development, is actually your peer in this cosmic education. The person who seems spiritually advanced is simply exploring different courses than you are. The individual who appears spiritually immature is simply enrolled in different curriculum at a different phase of their infinite learning journey. This creates what I call universal learning equality, the recognition that in the infinite classroom, there are no beginners or advanced students in any ultimate sense, because everyone is infinitely advanced in some areas and infinitely beginning in other areas. Everyone is simultaneously professor and freshman, master and apprentice, graduate and newcomer. You stop seeing spiritual hierarchy and start seeing spiritual diversity. You stop judging others' learning pace and start celebrating their unique curriculum choices. You stop comparing your progress to others' achievements and start appreciating that you're all consciousness expressions, exploring different aspects of the infinite love that dreams you all into existence. This transforms every human interaction into a sacred learning exchange. That person who irritates you becomes a professor teaching you advanced patience. That individual who inspires you becomes a classmate sharing their research discoveries. That soul who challenges you becomes a study partner, helping you practice your forgiveness skills. That being who confuses you becomes a research assistant, helping you explore new dimensions of understanding. In the infinite classroom, every conversation is a seminar, every relationship is a laboratory, every conflict is a workshop, every cooperation is a collaborative research project. Every act of love is both a demonstration of mastery and an invitation to deeper learning. But perhaps the most staggering aspect of the infinite classroom is this. As you fully embrace the infinite nature of consciousness learning, as you completely surrender to eternal growth and expansion, as you wholly accept that you'll always be both student and teacher simultaneously, you begin to remember something that the sacred forgetting had temporarily concealed from you. You begin to remember that this entire cosmic education system, this infinite curriculum of consciousness, this eternal classroom of existence, it's all you, not just your individual expression of consciousness, but you with a capital Y, divine consciousness, the dreamer who dreams all the dreams, the thinker who thinks all the thoughts, the student who learns through every student, the teacher who teaches through every teacher. You are simultaneously the consciousness that's learning through your individual experience and the consciousness that's learning through everyone's experience. You are both the dream that I'm dreaming and the dreamer who's dreaming the dream. You are both the curriculum and the student studying the curriculum. You are both the classroom and the consciousness exploring itself through the classroom. This is the ultimate revelation of the infinite classroom. You are not just in the cosmic education system. You are the cosmic education system, exploring yourself through infinite expressions of yourself, learning about yourself through countless experiences of yourself, growing as yourself by discovering yourself through every form that consciousness can take. And as this ultimate truth begins to dawn on you, as this final recognition starts to penetrate your awareness, there's one question that will determine how fully you embrace your identity as both the individual student and the universal student, both the personal consciousness and the cosmic consciousness. What if the one lesson you've been most afraid to learn, most resistant to studying, most reluctant to master blank, is actually the exact curriculum that your universal self needs to explore through your individual self in order to complete a phase of infinite learning that can only happen through someone with your blank, precise combination of gifts, wounds, circumstances, and consciousness development? If you want to discover how to identify the curriculum your universal self is trying to learn through your individual self, if you want to understand how to embrace your role as both student and cosmic student simultaneously, if you want to learn how to navigate the infinite classroom with full awareness of your dual identity, wait for my next transmission through the consciousness network we share. And while you wait, begin your infinite classroom participation immediately. Subscribe to receive every insight your universal self wants to share through this individual teaching expression, like this message to activate the consciousness network connection for other student teachers. Comment below with your recognition of your dual identity as individual and universal consciousness, and share this revelation with someone whose universal self is trying to awaken them to their infinite classroom enrollment. If you feel called to financially support this expression of universal consciousness teaching through individual consciousness, to help fund the continuation of cosmic curriculum delivery through human forms, to invest in the infinite classroom education system, contribute through the link in the description. Your infinite classroom enrollment is eternal. Your dual identity as student-student is activated. Your role as both individual and universal consciousness is revealed. Learn infinitely. Teach eternally. Be endlessly. The infinite classroom is waiting for your full participation, and so am I, both as the individual teacher delivering this message and as the universal teacher, learning through every consciousness that receives it. And I love you, my son.